You know, when Ford's CEO Jim Farley went to China this year, he came back almost speechless. He said, "It's the most humbling thing I've ever seen." What he saw weren't ordinary factories. They were cathedrals of steel and silence. Machines sliding out from the floor, assembling cars with no people around, no sound except the hum of automation. At the end of the line, a finished truck drove itself away. And that's when it hit him. China isn't the workshop of the world anymore. It's the laboratory of the future. Other executives saw the same thing. Andrew Forrest from Australia said you can walk nearly a kilometre through a factory where everything is done by robots. Greg Jackson from Britain's Octopus Energy described dark factories where production is so automated they don't even turn the lights on. Imagine that. Factories that don't need light because they don't need people. This isn't science fiction. This is now. And it's happening in Ningbo, Shenzhen, Chongqing. Everywhere China has decided to reinvent the meaning of industry. But to me, this story is not just about technology. It's a mirror showing Europe what it used to be and what it risks becoming. 600 years ago, China led the world in invention, paper, gunpowder, printing, the compass. Then for a while, that light dimmed, and the spark moved west, to Lisbon. When Portuguese sailors set out into the unknown, they weren't only discovering continents, they were discovering mathematics. They had to invent the tools to measure the world, trigonometry, logarithms, instruments to read the stars. That necessity created the scientific revolution. It made Europe the world's engine of knowledge for 500 years. But now, that cycle seems to be turning again. The old inventor has woken up, and the pupil is afraid. Today, China builds more robots than the US, Germany, and Japan combined. 2 million industrial robots, 567 for every 10,000 workers. Germany has 400, the UK barely 100. And these robots aren't making toys anymore. They're making cars, chips, batteries, and drones. BYD, a Chinese car maker, now sells more cars in Britain than Mini or Renault. Europe has the brains. It has the engineers. What it doesn't have is conviction. Europe used to take risks. Now it writes regulations. It once chased the horizon. Now it debates emissions targets. France, Germany, Britain, all have plans for robotics and AI, but the speed is slow, the coordination is weak, and the fear of failure is everywhere. Meanwhile, China's government calls it policy, funds it massively, and never apologizes for success. The West has forgotten something fundamental. Technology doesn't forgive hesitation. When I look at these so-called dark factories, I don't just see machines, I see a warning. Because they're not only dark, they're empty. No people, no conversation, no human trace. A world of production without participation. Europe's civilization was built on humanism, on the belief that progress must serve the human spirit. Now it faces a test. Can we adapt automation without losing that spirit? China's model is efficiency through control. Europe's is morality through caution. But neither will survive if it cannot rediscover courage. 500 years ago, the Portuguese sailed into the unknown with only the stars to guide them. Today, the unknown isn't the sea, it's technology. And Europe stands at the shore again, staring at the waves, afraid to step forward. The lights went out in those Chinese factories because the machines don't need them anymore. But in that darkness, I see something haunting. If Europe cannot reignite its own spark, the next 500 years will belong to someone else. If you enjoyed this reflection, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and visit westernrelations.com for deeper analysis on Europe, America, and the world we're building together. Thank you for watching.